Welcome to India Campus Guru. So we had 4 or 5 courses, or I would say initial courses or videos around SAP security. So we're gonna continue adding more and more content now, and again we will be covering the basic security concept or tips or tricks which you need to know when you start your career in SAP security area. So welcome again, and today we're gonna cover few I would say standard or few SAP user tables which you should know. Okay, so let's start. So SAP tables, like any tables or in any system or database, they are tables. Like the database of SAP would have tables which you can access from the SAP application layer. So the T codes to access SAP tables is SE16 or the new version of SE16, which is called SE16N. For some reason, I'm an old SAP security guy. I still prefer using SE16, but you can use either of these. Talking about the SAP user tables, which you should know for sure, or you should be knowing end to end. I think the first table you should be knowing is USR02. And last lot of many years, or how many years I've been working, this is the first table I would go for SAP user. We'll talk more about it, what the table contains, but yeah, USR02 is the first table which you would be knowing for sure. And there are a couple of more tables like ADR6 and USR21, which contains user address details and email ID. And again, both these two tables have data, but you have to map those two tables to get that, like, okay, I want to see what email ID is for what user ID. And the tip or the tips, I think I will call it, like, you have to just type, you want to see how many tables we have for SAP users in SAP, just type USR star and hit F4 or click search. So you would see there are hundreds of USR tables which has other details which may be helpful for you, but I would say USR02 is the one table which you would be going most of the times. So let's talk more about USR02. So USR02, as I said, has user logon data in this table, and it gives you like basic and all the important details you would be looking for. Okay, like what is the user ID? Like if it's every SAP user has a unique user ID, right? So you can find that ID details from there. If you know that user ID, you can find other details for that user ID. It also gives you like a valid from and valid to dates for a user ID, what user type user is assigned to, what user group, whether user is logged or is still active user, creator who has created that ID, and also even like last logon date and time, and even the password status, whether the password is initial or user has logged in and they changed the password to productive password. So the next page would have the actual screenshot of that USR02 table, and as you can see, you have client, and then you have user ID, then you have initial password. Again, like SAP has gone back, and to make it more secure, you can't see what password is there for a user ID. That's why you're seeing the 0000. Then you have valid from, valid to dates, and you have user type, which is dialog or A in this case. I think we talked about user types in our last video, so if you haven't looked at that video, please go and look for that video. User groups, we did talk about user groups as well, but I will have another video just focusing on user group in next coming few weeks. And then you can see whether user has had a failed logon attempt, whether user is logged, or who created that ID, and what time it was created on, and even the last logon date. So the last logon date, I think, is something I think we would be using a lot. Like if you have to find if a user is active or not, like what time the user has logged in, right? Like if I have to clear up licenses for SAP, I'm looking for users who have not logged in last 90 days or last 180 days. So this is the table where you will come. You can just search for one user ID, or you can just do it like blindly put a star or just list all the users and then export this file into Excel sheet, and then you can find the IDs or users who have not been active in SAP systems. Okay. So again, this is a table where you'll be going a lot just for various reasons, like auditing reasons, or just to find out details which you're looking for. The other tables I talked about is USR21 and ADR6. Again, you may not be going in these tables that often, but the USR02 table or any other table doesn't have email ID of user ID, and I would say most of the times the SAP ID is something is not easy to find. So suppose you have a user's email ID and you're trying to find, okay, this email ID has which SAP user ID. So you have to use these two tables, and again, these tables have personal number and address number, and there's I think the tips for us here as well, which is like common in both two tables, and you have to use that as a primary key and then get that details. As I said, these two tables doesn't have the user ID as a field. That's why it's hard for you to just find that one information. So you can just say, okay, I correct myself. I think one of these table doesn't have the user ID. So you have to get the personal number, and then you have to get the email ID. Okay. So again, this was a short video. I would be putting more detailed videos around just the details around tables, and even like how you can create queries, or how do you use USR021 and ADR6 to find out the email ID details. So yeah, I think do check my channel, India Campus Guru. Like, share, and subscribe if you like it, and yeah, put your comments if you want to see a specific topic. And yeah, I think I really appreciate you guys looking at India Campus Guru for SAP trainings, and I would be putting up more and more videos going forward. So thank you. Keep learning, keep staying healthy. Thank you. Bye.